Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video I am going to discuss the poem Kubla Khan by St. Coleridge. So we'll discuss the complete analysis of this poem. So let's begin. I've already discussed writing style of Coleridge and his other poems as well. So in this regard he is renowned for his imagination. So poetic imagination is the main thing in this poem, right? So by the name of poem Kubla Khan, you may wonder that it's about the historical figure Kublai Khan. No, it's not about him, rather it's the product of his imagination, right? So when you look at the subtitle, a vision in a dream, a fragment, right? So you will be able to understand that it's a vision, it's a dream, right? And it's incomplete poem, it's a fragment, right? And it has three parts or three fragments, right? And apart from that, the background or overview of the poem goes like this. Coleridge, he was having he reading a book, he was reading a book about Kublai Khan. You know about Kublai Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, right, who ruled in Mongolia. And Coleridge saw a dream, and after that dream he just write down this poem Kublai Khan. And so in you will saw the dreamy or utopian description in this poem. So without wasting time, we'll begin the poem, right? So in first stanza we'll see dreamy or utopian description and supernatural setting, right? Where Coleridge imagine a pleasure doom, right, and gives description of that. So here it go. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure doom decree, where Alf the sacred river run through caverns measureless to man down to a sunless sea, right? So Xanadu was the capital of Kubla Khan's kingdom, right, in China, Mongolia, right? So in that place, the Kublai Khan, he just decreed order or command to build a pleasure dome, right? Where it is in such a place where the Alf is a fictional river here, right? Where it is Alf River, actually in it exists in Antarctica, right? So a sacred rivers flow, and that through the caves, right? And this sacred river, it's measureless to men, right? And down to a sunless sea. See the description, his imaginary description, sunless sea and things like that. And further he say, so twice 5 miles of the fertile ground with walls and towers with girdle round, right? Means 10 miles of the ground that see the Alf, right, beneath, or there were walls, towers, right, and there were gardens bright with sinus rills. These sinus rills means zigzag streams, right? There are gardens and these zigzag streams, and where blossom many incense bearing tree, and here were forest ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery, right? So forest, ancient forest and hills were there, and scented trees, right? Incense bearing trees, scented trees were there, greenery, and such a description. And he says that, but oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill, archward, arcade and cover, a savage place as holy and enchanted as ever beneath a waning moon was haunted by women veiling for her demon lover. And from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in fast thick plants were breathing. So I write down the meaning of difficult words as well, right? Chasm is the deep opening in the ground, or you can say a hole type in the ground which is slanted or slopy, and hills across the Caden, a kind of tree, right? Caden cover, and the place is enchanted, right? A magic like charm or enchanted place. And haunted place means a place which is frequently visited by ghosts, right? Ghosty type. And there it's like a woman who is crying for her demon lover sitting under that diminishing or waning moon, right? So such description is given, and further he said that, and from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething, as I have told already, yes, personification is used there for the earth. Earth didn't breathe, so he just used personification uh, to tell us that earth is breathing fastly, and a mighty fountain momentarily was forced, and then momentarily a fountain was forced from the earth, right? It seems like it's burst out, right? Amid whose swift half intermittent burst, huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail or Jeffy Grant beneath threshold frail. They burst out, and it's like Jeffy Grant. Jeffy Grant, the method of separating grain from the husk, right? So it seemed like that the ground it's separate from the water, and fountain burst out, right? And become prominent. It flings up momentarily, means it flings up momentarily the sacred river, 5 miles meandering, zigzagging with mazy motion, and through wood and dale, through wood and the valleys, the secret river then began to run, and they reached the caverns, reached the caves, which is measureless to men, right? So see the description of the pleasure dome, all imaginary, right? So poetic imagination, Coleridge poetic imagination is very important in this poem. And further he say, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean, and midst this tumult Kubla heard from far ancestor voices professing wars. So in this tumult, in this noisy of this fountain, the Kublai Khan, he just heard the voice of his ancestor who just professing foretell about upcoming war, right? And it has been told that the Kublai Khan, he just heard that voice, and he just won that war, right, which was prophecy by his ancestors. And then the shadow of the doom of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. It was miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice, right? So supernatural imagery is there. He thinks that Coleridge thinks that whatever we imagine is true, right? Everything is possible in imagination. And so the shadow of the doom pleasure, it was waves like, and waves discussed to bear the shadow of this pleasure doom, right? And again, you can take it in different perspectives, right? Professing words, it may also refers to the writing process, the poetic imagination as well, right? And this line is important here. It was a miracle of rare device, right? And a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. So it was masterpiece of architecture, right? That was never seen before, made up of that marble that looks like ice, right? So here the second fragment begins, and second fragment is about damsel with dulcimer, right? Damsel with dulcimer. So we'll discuss what she the damsel is, right? And so let's see second fragment. A damsel with a dulcimer. Damsel, a woman, an unmarried woman, and dulcimer is the musical instrument, right? So there is a damsel with her dulcimer, right? And here secondary imagination, as I already make a video on Coleridge imagination, right? Primary imagination, secondary imagination, right? And Coleridge is considered one of the most imaginative poet, right? So this damsel, the damsel, she has the power to create paradise through by playing her dulcimer, right? So it may also be used as a metaphor for Coleridge himself or his imagination as well. Through his imagination, everything may be possible, creating a paradise or that pleasure doom. That pleasure doom, it is like a paradise, right? And further, we'll see what happens actually in a visions one I saw again. It was a vision in dream. He saw that it was an Abyssinian maid. This damsel, she was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played. Right, she played her dulcimer, the musical instrument, singing of Mount Abora. Mount Abora, it's a historical allusion is here, right? Use of allusion to refer to historical place. Mount Abora is the place or where collection or the repository for imagination, right? This Mount Abora, it's a historical mountain, right? Singing of the Mount Abora, could I revive within me, right? It revive within me, it remember or reproduce the poetic imagination within me, right? And her symphony and song to such a deep delight would win me, and that with music long and long I would build that dome in air. These underline words, these are very important, right? Because it reflects the poetic imagination, that everything is possible through your poetic imagination. Because he told us that with that music long and long I would build that dome in the air, right? Building a dome in air, which was physically impossible, but through poetic imagination it is possible, right? These lines are important. And he said that build a dome using imagination, creative power of imagination is there, and that sunny dome whose caves of ice. And then here last one is the third fragment, and this is about comparison of the dulcimer damsels to Coleridge himself, right? And though this is not the part of his vision, right? And then further he said that in third fragment, and all who heard should see them there, and all should cry, beware, beware, right? He said that all who heard this song played by the dulcimer, that musical instrument, or you can relate it with poetic creativity through his wording, through this poem, through poetic creativity or art. All those who heard that song see that dome that I built on the air. And later he add this third fragment and then talk about his poetic imagination, right? And he create things through his imagination, imagery is there. And then he just addressing to the listeners or the readers of this poem, that the listeners or the readers, right, or they listen to his song, his poetry, they are frightened as well. He's bewaring us. Why? Because of these flashing eyes and floating hair, right? And the creative figure becomes a source of awe, wonder, and terror. this imaginative may also lead to this wonder, terror, or fearsome as well. And weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, holy fear. For he on honey dew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise. This last lines refers to his imagination or intuition, poetic inspiration, that for he honey dew hath fed. It refers to drugs, right? Honey dew, and the milk of paradise is something that is pure. So contradiction of two things is there, opposite things, right? So here the poem ends unfinished. So hope you understand. Thank you for watching.